I can remember always enjoying food, always finding comfort in food, and always wanting more food. But I think that the first time I remember looking around myself and realizing that there was a problem, like a real problem, was in early 2003. It was January. My daughter had been born in September of 2002. Her father and I had been together for years and had gone through a really horrible breakup, and then we got back together, and then I wound up pregnant and had a baby. And so for a long time my life had been kind of messy, and he moved to another state shortly after her birth, and then my family, my entire family, went on a cruise together, and I was home with my baby, and it was already very stressful because my normal caregiver was my grandmother, and I was leaving her with a friend, so that really had me freaked out, and just nobody was around. And I worked at a bank at the time, and I got robbed at gunpoint. He didn't point the gun at me, but he had a gun, and it was just a very stressful time. And I went home. I remember stopping to get food on the way home because I knew nobody was going to have cooked or anything, and I bought a ridiculous amount of fast food, like sick. And I went home. I picked up the baby and I went home, and I got her fed and changed and put her to bed, and like everything was the way it was supposed to be. And I ate well beyond being sick, and I cried, and I ate more, and I cried, and then I got up and I looked around and I was like, I can't believe like all this trash is from me. God, I ate all of that food, and I just threw it all away, and I was taking it to the trash can, and I realized that I didn't know when the trash was the next day, like when they were going to pick up the big trash can. So I took it to a neighbor's house and threw it in the trash there in case my family came home, because I was like, they will never understand eating that much food. I think that it took me a while to figure out that this was more than just losing weight, that it was going to take more than just diet and exercise. I mean, I think that a healthy food plan is definitely something that's necessary for recovery, and I think that exercise can be an amazing part of any addiction recovery. It allows you a means to get out frustration, hurt, sadness, loneliness, guilt, anger. All of those things can be released during exercise. And also, I think it's important because it like rebuilds the body, and most addictions destroy the body. So having realized that, I think that a big problem for most food addicts, and the thing is that like you do not have to be big to be a food addict. Most of us are big, but you don't have to be. Now, a lot of times us who are large seek out fixes that are, I don't know, they're strictly weight related. So it's like, you know, I just need to go on a diet, or I just need to fix this one particular thing. And the reality is, it's not just diet or one particular thing. It's an addiction that you need to address. And if you don't address all of it, and with a plan that's going to effectively treat your addiction, then you're not going to get where you need to be. And I think one of the biggest points of contention is deprivation. And you know, if you're dieting and you don't have a food addiction, then this could be totally different for you. But if you do have a food addiction, or if you've been dieting and you don't believe you have a food addiction, but you start to think about it, this is going to apply. If you have an addiction, you cannot feed the addiction. You have to figure out a way to eat without giving in to the addiction. And that's a hard thing. You can't just avoid bars or avoid, you know, crack alleys because you're avoiding your vice. Food is everywhere. It's how people tell you they love you. It's how you celebrate birthdays. It's how you comfort family during funerals. It's how you relate to people. You know, that's a big thing. So you have to figure out a way to safely avoid those landmines and to go through life with your recovery intact. And that's hard. But like the biggest thing, I was having an internet discussion with a person who I talk to every once in a while, and she was like, okay, I figured out that sugar is a trigger for me. So I've been avoiding sugar and I've done so much better and I've lost so much weight and I'm healthier and I feel good. But you know, the holidays are coming and I really, you know, miss the desserts, and you know, should I really not have sugar during the holidays? And she posted it in a public forum, and most people were like, girl, you need to have yourself some. It's the holidays, blah, blah, blah. And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have in the past described yourself as being addicted to food, and sugar in particular was one of your triggers. You should not have that if you can avoid it. No. The end. If you were addicted to heroin, I told her this, if you were addicted to heroin and you were telling everybody, but it's the holidays and family's coming and I just need a hit to get myself over it, nobody in their right mind would say, girl, you need to have a little bit of heroin to get through the holidays, girl, everybody does, just do it. No, they wouldn't. They would recognize that as like the opening the door to complete hell, to letting yourself go right back. But when it comes to food, people want to like, oh, you can have this, just this. Oh, you can have that, just that. No, you can't. Not if you're an addict. Seriously, it's a lifelong commitment to making yourself healthy and better. And a little bit of this and a little bit of that, it doesn't help. It harms greatly. To recover from food addiction has got to be one of the hardest things. You know, if people see an addict, like a meth addict, you can like look at people and know something's wrong. Their teeth are rotting, their skin is bad, you know, they're not looking good. And people would see that and be like, oh my gosh, she needs help. She needs to get herself together and she needs help with that. But when you're addicted to food and those symptoms start to show, you're overweight, you may or may not have a normal menstrual cycle, you may or may not be able to walk up a flight of stairs, you can't play with your kids, like everything's falling apart. And instead, people are like, oh, you have to love your curves, oh, you have to, you know, but you have such a pretty face, you need to play off that. And it's like, wait a second. I'm not saying that all big people are food addicts by any means. And I'm not saying that all big people need to be tiny. There's a big, like, I will never be tiny. Even when I'm at a healthy weight, I'm going to have breasts and hips, and I'm going to be curvy. And I need to embrace that and not try to be a size 0, not trying to be a size 6. You know, whatever my normal healthy weight size is going to be, I need to like it and love it and rock the hell out of it. But there's a big difference between loving yourself and your individuality and your differences and embracing something that's unhealthy and sick, and that can end your life. Because maybe you're not going to OD tomorrow in an alley somewhere, and maybe you're not going to drop dead, you know, or get shot over a deal gone wrong or whatever, but you will die. Maybe it'll be when you're 50, which is way too young to have a heart problem. Maybe it'll be really slowly as parts of your body fall apart because of diabetes. Maybe it will be, you know, whatever it is, you're going to die from it. You're not healthy. Even if you're not a big food addict, even if you're a small, like a skinny or a thin food addict, that doesn't mean you're healthy. So I think that that is one of the biggest misconceptions and one of the biggest downfalls to having a food addiction, is that people don't see it as the immediate and serious threat that it is, because it is.